Untamed is going to be untamed. It's going to be a little crazy. I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
Oh, hot dog, look at you.
And nobody talked about what's really happening.
And let's have conversations about what truth is.
And it's the science of elections theft. So you want to do two things. You want to figure out how to steal an election, one, and how to defeat audit, two. So let me give you an example. On absentee ballots come in, they put them on a scanner. Scanner takes a picture. Then they put another one on, takes a picture. It does like 100 of them. And then when it's got 100 pictures, it's ready to save them all. That picture of those 100 votes disappears. One comes in from Serbia, and they're all voting for one candidate, possibly Joe Biden. And then that is saved on the machine. In many states, you're not allowed to look at the physical ballot in the box. You must do the audit on the machine. Benny, these people actually own a number of the audit companies that come in to do the audit. They bought and own the paper companies. Some of the ways they do it also is, just imagine you have a piece of paper, right, like 8 by 11, and the margin is, say, an inch on either side. Well, if you change that by 1/4 of an inch, it forces the machine to trip after about 50 or 100 of these things you run through. Then a Smartmatic employee comes over, or Dominion Tech puts a thumb drive in the machine to fix the problem, and now it's loaded for theft. They had at least 14 ways on the machine, and you can use number 1 and number 3, number 1 and number 9, 6 and 8, and you never use the same technique in contiguous counties. Also, if you look at a state like Colorado, you have a state that is red through most of it, and it has blue, right, in Colorado Springs and Denver. They don't steal the election in Colorado Springs or Denver. They shave all those other counties. So instead of a conservative winning 70-30, they win 68-32. And they take points every place, and they have designed this 1 year in advance. This is the greatest grift in the history of the United States, these machines. And it was a evil attack on our democracy. And we have briefed this to a lot of people. A lot of people were afraid. They ran away from us. We've just continued on. And we brought witnesses, and they've testified in front of members of the Department of Justice. We actually tried to assemble the group of them together and get the DNI to give us a contract to do additional. And the DNI gave a contract to their friends, not to the people that we assembled that could have done it. I will say this, one politician in America that was very, very brave, that stood with us, Mark Wayne Mullen.
Correct.
Mark Wayne Mullen. Guy's a man.
Yes.
He was not afraid. And this is, when he was a senator, he saw it. He took us to people. He was a real hero about this. So I'm so grateful to him.
We talk about stolen elections nearly every day. Are you listening? Are you listening to what's being said right now? There's a lot of people, by the way, that have a lot of courage. And we're going to talk about elections, but we're also going to bring my friend in, and I'm going to talk to. He's been waiting to come in. I'm a little late. I apologize to you guys for being late. Unfortunately, I had a bunch of work that I had to get done, and I was late coming in, which is going to make this a little bit different of a show. But when we talk about elections, this is not a zero-sum game. It's not. It is not it is not China, China, China. And we're going to talk more about what does that mean? China, China, China. More importantly, I got questions. I got questions from my friend Halsey that's going to be on with us today. And I'm gonna ask him point blank some questions about me, because I've always been one to chase the truth, and I know he is too. And it's always good to get perspective. So Halsey, welcome to the show.
Good to see you, man. You look great. How's everything treating you?
Good. It's really
Excellent.
good.
Excellent. So let's get it on. You got some questions.
I'm
in a great mood. So
all right. So I just want to ask you this: do you think I'm an anti-Semite?
No.
Do you think that me calling politicians in Colorado that have just destroyed our state the synagogue of Satan makes me an anti-Semite?
No.
You think that all Jews are good people and that they...
I don't think there's any group of people that you can say are all good people.
I agree. And so I don't, as a Jewish Christian, I'm a mutt. We've talked about this. I don't think I've ever been against any group of people ever in my life. But I did call out Polis and Weiser and Griswold as this synagogue of Satan. I didn't just include them, but and I referred back to, by the way, the Bible, Revelations 2:9, Revelations 3:9. And I got eviscerated by a guy that likes to create dog whistles. He's now doing it to other people, and he called me an anti-Semite. And which is,
you see, this is what I would say to you about it, though. Here's the thing: do I think you're an anti? I don't. Now, my opinion doesn't. 5 cents in my opinion will get you a cup of coffee. But what I'm saying though is
buy
that
me a cup of coffee.
I would definitely buy you a cup of coffee. But my issue is that a lot of times, and I do this too, way more often than not, is we give them the ammo to create the dog whistle.
Yeah.
Like you can criticize them a lot, but calling them the synagogue of Satan just gives them the ammo to call you an anti-Semite. When you could just call them assholes or liars or commies or like 100 different things. And it's just I personally don't care. Like you want to call them synagogue and say call them that. But I'm just saying if you want to avoid giving them the ammo, then there's just a lot more fun, colorful insults you could probably use.
Yeah, but you remember when we always talk about not being held hostage by what people say your words mean, right? And that you should be able to explain their meaning. And you should also be able to explain the actions of certain individuals when they do bad things. And look, I'm not saying that Christians don't do the same thing, right? Christians are not the heir apparent, and I believe that there's no perfection other than one person in the Bible that's ever. I mean, so it doesn't really, to me, come down to questioning an entire religion. I think when you get into that place, or a type of group of people, when you get into that place, you then at that point create a dangerous environment where you get to hurt good people for no reason. I think that is wrong.
I agree with you, but like you just said, you like to have conversations. I do too. But you're also in business just like I am. And you know what? Sometimes people want to hear the elevator pitch. What are you going to say really quick, right to the point? And when you say synagogue of Satan, you're giving them the elevator pitch. And they're probably not going to give you the room to explain what you mean.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I'm saying? So they're just so they're just going to come out and say, oh, obviously this guy's an anti-Semite, and walk away. And the ability to explain yourself is not only taken from you, but the definition is now put on you. And now you have an enemy who's going to use that over and over and over to smear you. And it's just like, as I said, you just call him a faggot and be, 100 times happier. Like
this is why I love Halsey. But you just use the dog whistle, Halsey. You just use the dog whistle to tell me that now we can't use the dog whistle.
Listen, as I said, I'm guilty myself. I do it all the time. I say the absolute wrong thing in the heat of the moment, and then I spend 6 months explaining to people that's not what I really meant. You know what I'm saying? And it's fine, like, because I have very little patience for people in the first place. So it's like, okay, I'll explain to you what's going on. If you're not going to listen to me, then we don't have to have a conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't need to waste my time talking to people that don't want to hear what I have to say. So, I mean, again, it's like I don't actually know of any. I'm trying to think of like an insult, something that would insult a Christian that like would specifically be calling them like a derogatory word for a Christian. I don't actually know any, but it's like if I called you that and then said, well, no, I was just meaning this. First of all, you'd be really pissed off from the beginning. And secondly, you're probably not going to give me the chance to explain. You're just going to go, wow, that was a real rotten thing to say. You know?
Actually, I probably would be like, that wasn't very nice.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's like, I don't even know any. So it's like I can't even think of like a word that I could call you like that. But I'm just saying I'm not criticizing you for it. I'm just saying like it saves you some heartache if you just don't give them the ammo in the first place. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, hey, listen, I got lots of questions related to what we're dealing with right now, and it's pretty bad, right? It's pretty bad.
Let's have some fun. I'm down. I think there is. I think a lot's really bad. There's something bad going on in the world. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, and it just feels like we can't get our fingers on it because they're taking too much meat off the bones. You have people that are grifters and grafters, people that take, and they take too much. And when you get too many people above the line that taking, it's like having a millstone on the chest of Americans or people around the world even, right? So it's not just Americans at this point. But how much longer do you think Washington's foreign policy can continue what they're doing across these broad interventions that we have, these international interventions like Iran?
So you just asked a very deep question. And here's the problem. Number one, none of us can say with any degree of certainty that we have any clue what's going on. Because this has been the most baffling, ridiculous, retarded intervention that I think I've ever seen in like the history of war. Right? First of all, the whole, you're going to do what we say in 2 days or we're going to bomb you back to the Stone Age. And then repeating it every day for 6 months is not helping anyone. You know what I'm saying? Like, no one in Iran takes this seriously. No one in the Arab world takes this seriously right now. So I don't know how we're supposed to talk with any kind of conviction or in any way like be able to let our policies be understood if we're not even willing to be clear about that. Secondly, we're in a time now where what we do is instead of just use Occam's razor, like, okay, do we want Iran to stop shooting at ships in the Straits of Hormuz? Yes. Do we want them to stop arming the Houthis? Yes. Do we want them to stop firing at our bases? Yes. The way you do that is you kill them. Like, end of discussion. That's what you do.
But also you can't, it's never happened in 2,000 years. I mean, the Persians have never lost a war.
I didn't say you kill the Persians. I didn't say you kill the Persians. The Persians were very Western friendly for a very long time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know who the people are to kill. We always know that's like saying killing the Nazis means killing the Germans. Like, no, we weren't just there to kill the Germans.
We know which ones to kill in our country too, that are traitors.
Sure. But I think, and this has been somewhat of a strength of Trump's, but right now I think it's a real weakness.
Yeah.
In that I don't want to say I don't want to insult the guy, but he's a TV personality. He knows how to work the TV, right? But the more time he lets this drag on, the more he's letting other voices play the TV game too. And when he comes out and says, well, we destroyed them 18 times over and there's no more nuclear power, but we're going to stop their nuclear power. Like, when he keeps going, he's inviting critics and he's not answering those critics. He's just doing what Trump does and saying all the words. You know, one day we have to stop them from getting a nuclear bomb. One day we did stop them from getting a nuclear bomb. One day we destroyed their military. One day their military is bombing us in Hormuz. Like, saying all the words and just not giving a clear idea of, like, listen, I'm not saying he should go on TV and say, we are going to bomb you at this place and this time because this is what we want to do. Like, he doesn't have to give away our strategy. But at the same time, like, he's not doing kind of anything, which not doing anything makes people uncertain. And it makes people wonder what's really going on. And I'm one of those people, like people go, well, the Washington Post says that we're out of interceptors. Right? Well, I've never believed a word the Washington Post has said ever. So why am I going to start believing them now? Right? Could it be true? You never know. Like, I find it a little difficult to believe, but could it be true? I saw a really good explanation about how it could actually be true. Right? But again, I don't trust the Washington Post, so I'm not going to just sit there and say, well, the reason we're doing X is we don't have the interceptors. Or when he says, oh, they're going to do this or we're going to bomb the hell out of them, like he hasn't done it yet. So I'm not going to believe him until he actually does it.
So,
you know,
but even the things he says about the interceptors and things he says about the military, those are things that the Washington Post would not have access to that information. Matter of fact, I know for a fact that that information on what stockpiles we have is in disparate environments for a reason. Even one general won't know what the stockpiles are across the entire country. The only person that has those keys to the kingdom are typically a couple of people at the DOD and or at the Pentagon, and those people are not going to talk about anything. They're just not built that way. So you've got a lot of conjecture that gets built.
And the Congress, they pulled Hegseth, they pulled Keene up in front of Congress and asked them straight up if it was true, and they said no. They said it's not true. It couldn't be further from the truth. So either they perjured themselves in front of Congress, which I really don't think they would do.
No.
You know, Keene would literally be court-martialed if he perjured himself before Congress. And Hegseth would probably not have a career anymore, period, you know, after he got out of jail. So I'm not willing to accept, like, do I think that we found Iran to be more formidable than we expected? I think so, but for probably a different reason than you do, right? Like when people talk about the Israel-U.S. relationship, right? One of the benefits has always been that Israel has combat missions and combat training against Russian equipment, right? The entire Middle East has Russian equipment. What none of us have done is fight against Chinese equipment. And that's what Iran has. And I think that we have an idea of what we're going against, but we don't know how effective their stuff is. We know they've been in our military databases for years. The spy scandals, like they're quite public. So, and if you'll notice, during the 12-day war, Israel was flying all the missions over Iran. Not a single plane or drone was shot down. When America joined, a whole bunch of planes and drones got shot down, right? So, and we know that Israel uses different avionics and different electronic warfare systems. They're proprietary. Right. So obviously China doesn't have the info to counteract the Israeli systems as well as the American systems. You know, so it could be that Trump's saying like, okay, well, wait a minute, we're not going to risk billions of dollars worth of hardware and pilots' lives, because the last thing Trump can deal with right now, especially with the midterms coming, is a captured pilot on CNN, you know, looking tortured and them saying they're going to hang him or something. You know, like that's a no-no. And it could just be that, listen, we're training our military. Like you keep hearing, oh, we're pissed. They bombed one of our ships. So we hit a bunch of radar installations and empty buildings here and there. Like we're not doing any real hardcore damage. It could be we're testing their systems. You know, that's been the West's kind of trademark for years, is we bite before we go in for the kill.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I try to stay. I try to use the information that I know is readily available to myself, and knowing as much as I know about the Middle East specifically, to kind of engage what we're doing in Iran. And then, of course, I have friends that are in certain positions. I have a friend whose daughter is over in the Strait of Hormuz right now on a destroyer, right? So there's things that I'm privy to as far as information that shows that President Trump could be the head of the organization. I've run into this in several companies inside my organization where I give directives, I give information to people, I tell them to do it, and they don't do it, right? They go do whatever what they want, right? Now, eventually I just get to the thing and I just fire everybody, right? And he's gotten to the point where he's in a different position because of the weighted bureaucracy and just the glut that we have inside of the judiciary specifically that has stopped him from, you know, moving the cheese, so to speak. Mm-hmm. So I know one of my concerns is that we fought a proxy war and we're fighting a proxy war against Russia currently in Ukraine, period, end stop. No matter what, the amount of support that we have, we're building bad blood between ourselves and Russia, and I think it's unnecessary, frankly. Number two, we're now balancing the balancing act of China, Russia. It's a simpleton's way of looking at the globalization of the world. It's no one in their right mind believes that Russia bad, China bad, U.S. good, right? It's antithetical to almost everything. Now we can say we're on different football teams, but because of
Mhm.
what they're doing in the Middle East, I kind of feel like we are. We're in that place where we've overextended our capabilities right now, and we've pissed off more people than we have to because we're unwilling to deal with the enemy within and say, no, Dominion stole the elections. People that work there, these are communist pieces of you know what. We need to deal with it in our own backyard. And instead, we're doing the same thing we've done for decades, and we're out there creating enemies when we could be just saying, let's deal with it. Let's rip the Band-Aid off, punch these assholes in the face, and hang them for treason. But we won't do it. We won't do it.
So I happen to agree with you majoritively, and I think it's a real problem because Trump's problem isn't necessarily with the Democrats and the DSA and all that shit. Yes, they're all terrible people, but the issue is the Republicans will not give him any wins on domestic policy unless it's economically based, right? Which they would give to anybody. Like I don't care if it's John McCain or Donald Trump, they'll give him the shit that they've given him, right? Like the tax cuts and the business stuff and all of that. But the problem is that because they won't give him any time on the Save America Act, on deportations, on any of this stuff, what winds up happening is the only way he could fill the dead air time is with foreign policy because he basically has a free hand, right? And so he's gotten so involved with foreign policy that now he's nannying it, right? Like no one can take a shit in the woods without Donald Trump being there to tell him whether he has toilet paper or not. And that's not what the president should be doing. Now, I'm very hesitant to ever get conspiratorial. There's one thing I think he's doing that I have no real proof of, except for one little thing. But I think the fact that Iran is attacking all our bases and we seem to be letting it happen, I think we're doing that on purpose. I don't think we want to rebuild them. I think that's a big part of Donald Trump wanting to detach from the Middle East, is that these bases are just never going to get rebuilt. And I really what tipped me off, and I'm telling you, it's like the weirdest feeling I had. I was saying to myself, why are they allowing? Like, how are we possibly as a country allowing them to hit our bases? And then I remembered right before Iran 2 Electric Boogaloo, not the 12-day war, but the one where America joined, about a week before and I had to go check in the State Department's website to make sure I wasn't having like the Mandela effect. They announced that all of our bases were being evacuated, right? And that all our personnel were being put in hotels. And I know from just people I know that a lot of them went to Israel, a lot of them went to the UAE, right? And why, and if we're about to get into a state of conflict, are we evacuating our military bases? It doesn't make sense unless we don't care that they get hit. And why is it that they're raining missiles on our military bases day after day after day and nobody's getting killed? Where are the bodies? You know what I'm saying? Like I'm seeing pictures of these bases up in smoke. Like, where are the bodies? And I don't think the Pentagon's lying. I don't think they're just not telling us, right? There's too many families out there that would go to the press and say, I haven't heard from my kid in 2 months. I think he's dead.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling that's part of Trump's thing, is that it's a limited detachment from the Middle East, which I think is good. But I as far as what he's going to do with Iran at this point, I'm as clueless as anyone else.
Well, I got two more questions to ask for you, and I want you to sit. I got to bring Patrick in, who's here for only 20 or 30 minutes, and I got to go through some stuff with him. But I want to Wreck-It Ralph with you, right? So if you can hang tight for a minute. Let me bring Patrick in. I got to run through some stuff. Sure. He's going through some stuff, and he's been on some.
I'll mute and turn off my camera, and you guys do.
Oh, go ahead.
No. I gotta get to this because this is really big, Halsey, and then I will get your thoughts on this afterwards. But I got to respect the fact that, that Patrick is going through some things, and I don't want you to go anywhere. So listen to this. It's going to be a great conversation.
No, I'll listen while you guys talk, and then just come back when you're done.
All right, Patrick. Welcome to the show, brother.
Good to see you. Listen, if you want to finish up with Halsey, that was fascinating. Go ahead and then come back.
Well, I want to look. I know that the stuff you're going through right now, and I want to be. And Halsey and I are friends. You and I are friends. But this is really the stuff that we that you put out yesterday was explosive. And frankly, you've been at the tip of the spear. And I've got to, yeah. Everybody can hear you. But I want to go through this with you. This is a report that you were on Emerald Show yesterday. Mm-hmm. I've never seen you pull less punches than this. I think you look like Mike Tyson at 19. You didn't pull any punches.
If only.
Huh? Yeah.
If only that were true, Joe.
So
what were you referring to specifically?
Put this on the screen. Let's go ahead and talk about this. This is the news report on Lindell TV from yesterday. Put us on and play it.
The ongoing saga of Eric Coomer, that former Dominion voting systems employee, an infamous one at that, continues as he battles it out in court against Patrick Byrne. Now, he started out cocky and self-assured, but now Coomer is pleading to have his recorded remarks throughout the trial redacted from the public. Now, here's the official request. Coomer wants, quote, a publicly accessible version bearing narrow redactions and an unredacted version maintained at an access level available to the court and the court parties. The material plaintiff proposes to redact is not public now, but for defendant's own filing in violation of the protective order. So, in other words, not in legalese, Coomer knows he stepped in it and he's begging the courts to protect him. And he isn't done. In another court filing from July, Coomer's attorneys, quote, respectfully moved to strike the Oltmann defendant's corrected motion for sanctions. That's because the Joe Oltmann testimony seriously damaged Coomer's arguments that he was not involved in a conspiracy to rig the 2020 election while working at DVS.
But she was wrong. That was she said my case. That was actually filings in your case, correct?
It was filings. It was filings in my case. But what she's I think the cases are almost synonymous. But we're both in the same circles. You've been involved in this for the last 6 years. You've been the tip of the spear. I tell people when they're like, "Well, Patrick, man, he's coming out swinging." I was like, I've never seen Patrick not swing.
I'm not the tip of the spear. You're the tip of the spear. I might be the haft of the spear. I'm the weight behind the tip, but you're the tip of the spear.
I'll take that, but I want to talk about the hidden emails, because I remember a text message that you sent me in August of 2023, and you said, "Joe, you're right. You hang on. Everything's going to be fine. You're right." And I remember that because it was out of nowhere. We hadn't talked in a while, and you just sent me this text. And what you've done since then is Wreck-It Ralph. You've paid for whistleblowers to make sure that they're protected, their families are protected. You've flown back and forth from here to other countries, and you've done all of this. And I just want to point this out. You've done all of this while battling some health issues personally. And I don't have permission to talk about that, but you've given up everything.
Cancer. Listen, I'm pretty open about my health. My health is such a big part of my life. I've had cancer for the 4th time. Just had in June or July, I had my lower half of my left lung removed. It was surgery 119 over the last 40 years. So no, this is just a big part of my life. I'm not married, no children. That's kind of what, anyway. So I'm kind of on a kamikaze mission here. That's how I view it. So
yeah, but we're going to make sure we pray you out. I'm going to make sure everyone here prays for you too, that you have health. And it worked for David Bear. He had cancer all over his body and in his spine everywhere, and all of those have shrunk now. Which is, they gave him a couple months to live, and it's getting better, which is, it's miraculous. I want to play this. This is Coomer's hidden emails. And same Emerald was talking about this, but let's go and play that.
It's confused. I mean, it's hard. First of all, this is a filing he made in Oltmann's case, not mine, but it's an identical case. He's saying basically, okay, Oltmann filed this stuff that really came out of our Dominion suit with Byrne. Oltmann filed this stuff. I'm not saying whether it's true or not true. I'm not really sure because I don't have the records anymore. but I want it redacted, which is kind of fun. Why do you care about having it redacted? At the same time, he's saying, well, I'm not even sure it's true. It's not. The other thing that's odd about this is he hasn't had any documents because he turned everything over to Dominion. He kept this a big secret. He has a joint defense agreement with Dominion. So the whole time he's been telling us and Oltmann, oh, when we asked for discovery, I don't have it, all that's gone. It turns out what he meant was, well, I gave it all to Dominion and Dominion has it. And yet he's now saying, well, okay, now that Oltmann has taken some of those documents and filed them in trial, he's saying, well, you got to get those out. You got to bury those. You can't let the public see them. But I'm not saying they're accurate. I cracked myself up.
I mean, Patrick, how in the world is he getting away? How is he not in shackles right now? How?
Because I think he's CIA. And I think that the confidence that we saw when we were face to face with him in Tampa is that preternatural confidence is, I think that he did this whole time, all these years. I think there's been a CIA black project, has been involved with Venezuela. The rise of Hugo Chavez was a Fidel Castro and FARC project, but in the background, it really looks like there was some CIA fingerprints on it. And I think that it goes, even when Colonel Hugo Chavez tried a coup in '93, he was in prison for 4 or 5 years. It was the U.S. ambassador, which you can assume is the CIA friend adjacent, went to the people running Venezuela and said, Bill Clinton wants you to pardon Hugo Chavez. And he got out. He ran for president, became president, everything followed. So CIA fingerprints are on Hugo Chavez back to then. They certainly knew about all this since 2004 forward. So I think that I think he's a CIA. I think this whole thing has been a CIA program. And I think that when they recruited Eric Coomer out of Berkeley, he had just finished his PhD in Berkeley.
97.
Very dodgy history. He was a heroin junkie, all kinds of things. He got brought into this super sensitive company. I think he's just been kind of a CIA asset since then. And not the whole CIA, but there's some dirty program within the CIA who's been part of this. So I think that everything he's done over 20 years, we're correct in what he's saying, what we're saying about what he's done. But what we missed was he was doing all this thinking he had the protection of the CIA the whole time. And that's why he's showing up and doesn't think he's going to be arrested and things like this, is that he's actually has or thinks he still has CIA protection.
Yeah, I don't think that the CIA protection, given the things that you've put out there and the things that I've put out there, when you get me to a point where you back me into a corner, I mean, I will fight my way out. And the thing about Coomer is he's such a coward. He's such just a cowardly person that they can't take. I mean, if he's so proud of it, hey, don't worry about it, that he's going to just be able to change things. He lies with impunity and he expects judges and special masters to basically cover up his slop. Sooner or later, people just will have enough. And
well, I think my read on the guy is he's a guy with daddy issues. I don't know why I say that but he's got real daddy issues. He's finally in a court in Tampa. Your court system in Colorado is crooked as a dog's hind leg. So but he's down in Tampa with a real judge, and the real judge is not letting this stuff happen. So he's in trouble down there. I don't think his normal games are going to get him out of. When do you go to trial? I go to trial in November with him.
I'll be there with November. My trial's not till January. And
great. Well, we'll finish him off for you. You'll never see him in trial. We'll finish him off for you in November. Well, I can't imagine he thinks he's going to go through with his trial.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think that's why this next cut is so important. And I just want to.
Did you know about him having a joint? Did you know about him having a joint
defense agreement? Yeah.
Yeah.
Did that come out in a deposition you were doing with him?
It came out in a deposition you were doing when I was told to go upstairs when he assaulted Peter Tickton.
Yeah, I remember it came out in a recent deposition, but it turns out the guy's got we never knew this. He's got a joint defense agreement with Dominion. So the whole time we're trying to get stuff out of him, and he's been saying, no, I don't have that. I don't have that. The truth is, it was all given to Dominion.
Yeah.
And he never revealed it. It's a complete fraud on the court. That's why you filed a fraud on the court case.
I did.
We have, or we're about to do the same thing. It's a fraud on the court.
And not only that, but he's guilty of crimes. He's guilty of criminal crimes because he did so in order to silence me and to silence you. So I've had to pay over $160,000 in fines and in sanctions, and they've used the sanction as a bully pulpit to chill your ability to file in the court. And they just did it again with the special master. The special master, by the way, that worked with Coomer's attorney, right? And works for the JAG organization, which also has the ex-Colorado Supreme Court Justice, Melissa Hart, who is a part of the criminal investigation into the criminal enterprise of the Colorado judiciary, which is rotten to the core, and the Christopher Gregory case that's under the DOJ investigation right now. So there's like all these different parts that play into this, which you have this cartel government, which basically are just trying to act with impunity. They're just doing the same thing over and over again. It's crazy. It is crazy the amount of crimes that Coomer has been able to commit with his lawyers. His lawyers are as crooked as the day is long, right? And they seem to think that they're untouchable as well. Maybe they're all CIA. Maybe that's the.
Well, the CIA is lurking in the background of all of this, I believe. John Ratcliffe isn't really running the CIA. I believe the CIA has really been run by John Brennan still. Ratcliffe. Anyway, so go ahead. You were about to go to another.
This is a clip that is you Wreck-It Ralphing, as I like to call it. Just wrecking it, and you're just the last thing you're going to do is be PC. Let's put up this post. This is you talking about the Trump administration, and let's put that up.
We've been holding a lot in because we thought the administration was going to do their job. But now that it's become clear that Trump is a sellout or weak or feeble or incompetent and isn't able to get done what should have taken him 30 days, we're just going public with it. Some of it is stuff I understand you're going to be having some whistleblower on right after me. Mm-hmm. Wild videos. You can't believe what's admitted in these videos. We're sending you these whistleblowers, and it's because the federal government is all tangled up in its underwear, and we're tired of waiting for them. I think they're corrupt. Well, I think that they're corrupted. I think the Trump administration, maybe they got caught doing something corrupt. Maybe they're being blackmailed themselves. But you look at the tepid thing Trump did on July 16th, which was kicking the ball. It was a first down, but it was very tepid. They came out and said, well, we acknowledge the CIA knew this when we know for a fact that they know this. We know because we gave them the whistleblowers or the Venezuelans. We know what they know, and they're creating a very tepid little weak tea version of it to sell the public. That's because they're trying to rescue the machines. They're trying to. This could all have been wrapped up by a competent executive in 30 days. If he'd created a task force, put Mike Flynn in charge, and had Stephanie, well, probably with Kurt Olson as his number 2, Stephanie Lambert handling election 2020, Tim Meisberger handling 2026, an intelligence line of effort and a prosecutorial line of effort, we could have people in handcuffs in March of last year. Instead, Trump has appointed a bunch of his friends and Fox News hosts, and then he gets mad every 3 months screaming at people, why isn't anyone indicted? Why isn't anyone in handcuffs? Well, maybe it's because he keeps appointing, Fox News hosts and people to do things that have never actually prosecuted a jaywalker. So he's completely incompetent, I've decided, and I'm not hiding anymore. He's completely incompetent. I also think his administration is getting their arm twisted and to stifle these machines. Maybe they're promising Trump something, like he gets to use the machines. Who knows? He's got a private equity group called 1776. He may think that it's going to end up owning Dominion Liberty. I don't know. But he's being neutralized. And so the fact that these machines, given what we know that they know, the fact that these machines are still in place is an atrocity against the law. We know that they've sat with the Venezuelans who wrote the code. They've sat with the Venezuelans who talked about all the elections they flipped, both in Venezuela and abroad, including the U.S., and instead they come out last July 16th with this very tepid little report. Well, the CIA knew the Venezuelans were trying to develop some technology. We don't know if they ever succeeded or if they ever flipped their own elections or anywhere else. It's a big cover-up. Well, that may have been a stale ham sandwich speaking. I shouldn't speak that badly of the president. Look, 5 days a week, I think Trump's a genius. 2 days of the week, he makes me, as they say in Brooklyn, it makes me want to stick a freaking fork in my head. And of those 2 days, one of them I find out, well, he actually was right. I didn't know all the facts. But one of them I get furious. And yesterday was that day.
Well,
this is all something that could have been done in 30 days. And the fact that he didn't, I mean, he has scattered this across the federal bureaucracy, rather who hate him, who don't cooperate with each other on good days, and they've made no progress. When in fact, a task force such as I described could have gotten through this in 30 days. It's a joke. And so it all comes down to me was I'm not on Team Trump if he does not get these machines out of the election. If he does not get the machines out of the election, then it's time to but he still has a chance. He can do it through national security order. But yesterday I was feeling particularly aggrieved. Today he's out there hinting he may do a national security order. I don't know if you saw this on Wayne Allen Root this morning. He did hint that. I'd say, go ahead.
So somebody told me, they're like, oh, Patrick went, and I saw the video, but I didn't watch the whole thing. I went back and watched the whole thing. And they said to me, they're like, Patrick is an anti-Trump. I was like, you have lost your mind. I said, let me explain something to you about Patrick. And this is just me knowing you over the last 6 years, not like a 20-year relationship. But I go, Patrick will literally, he knows the difference between being the daddy and being a father, even though you're not a parent, right? In other words, I have time to be your dad. Right now, I'm your father. In other words, right now, I am your friend. I will be your friend. But if I don't talk to you in a way that you need to understand, like they can see it, right? It's very obvious to them that the things that should have been done are not getting done. Right? I go, that is not Patrick being anti-Trump. He is 100% in Trump's camp, but he wants to see progress. He wants to see something happen that proves that he's going to do what he said he'd do.
You're a good read of human nature. In fact, I did receive some suggestions from someone I admire and like, telling me it's time to be more aggressive, even about Trump, and kick his ass publicly, respectfully, about what he's got done and what he hasn't got done. Yeah, Trump. I think Trump would be sitting in jail cell with Bolsonaro if it were not for the work you've done and me and about a dozen of us and the $100 million I spent to fund all this stuff. Frankly, he'd be sitting in a jail cell. So anyone who says, well, you hate Trump, they're missing the point. But I did receive over the weekend a prodding that it is time to go to kick his ass a little bit and publicly and get him to understand all this stuff that's out there that the DOJ hasn't even picked up. Did you see the other whistleblower Emerald had on after me?
Yeah.
These videos.
Yeah.
The DOJ's never even taken them, never even picked them up. There's somebody else on Emerald Show today with more of these kinds of videos. DOJ's never even picked it up. So someone needs to respectfully, Mr. President, kick his ass a little bit. Said this isn't, no, they could have done better this 17, 18 months of the second term. It's frustrating. Sometimes I look at it and I think, geez, he doesn't seem to know how to organize and accomplish a mission. Other times I remember he's got the entire government pushing back, and he did organize a task force. He authorized a task force when he came in, and that task force got not a penny of funding. Not one person got transferred. It was just on paper. So some days I want to apologize for the guy, but other days, and it is time we go public with a bunch of stuff we have to get like these whistleblowers who are going on Emerald yesterday, today, tomorrow, and bring these videos out to show the president there is this stuff, and your DOJ hasn't even picked it up.
Yeah, Patrick, what you said is I don't think that anybody else out there could talk with such veracity that you talk with and such confidence, but you've been in the middle of all of it, right? You talk about General Flynn, what General Flynn's been able to do over the last 4, 5, 6 years, and even before that, when he was persecuted by people inside the White House that basically hung General Flynn out to dry, right? And the more I read about that now, I go, this is crazy. Like, how in the world? And yeah, he got a pardon, but there's been so many people and so many over the last couple of years that we've gone through this that we're sitting back, and you have to take a pause and go, all right, let's go. Like, we're at the 5-yard line. We got 5. The last 5 yards is the hardest. Get us over the finish line. Fix it.
He may be one of those guys that needs a little bit of screaming at him to get somebody to do something. On the other hand, look, if he does this national security emergency, I will sing his praise to my dying day. That's what it takes. It does seem to me, I can't tell. I feel like maybe some people think I apologize for him too much. It all comes, but he needs somebody. I actually knew, I was a student of a great old British professor who was the last officer out of Dunkirk. And he described on that last hour of marching, sort of kicking, he had people who were collapsing and couldn't make it the last couple miles down the beach. And he got to the point where he was kicking them and hitting them with a rifle butt, not to knock them out, but to make people get up and march. And someone needs to tell Trump, has to do this to him. He's missing. It's not okay to just let this slide. He has to get this national security emergency signed. And I know, we could do a national security emergency and simply run our election per international standards.
Yeah.
Per international standards. That's all we're asking.
And it'd be easy.
Yeah.
It'd be easy.
Yeah. And do one election like that, I think we'd find that about 30% of the Democratic votes are fake. I think it's the most subtle con to take over. The voter rolls, from what I hear, they're 23 to 28% fake people. And there's all these other things that get done. It's about 30% of the Democratic vote is fake. So you have, so you're having 35% of the country take over the country with a con. And someone needs to say, look, I don't care how tired you are, you have to take these last steps that no one says that you don't feel like taking. So, yeah, that's the reason I was maybe a little bit more aggressive than I would like to be. I don't think he's incompetent. In some ways he's a genius, and he's got, I can go on a list of as long as my arms about the way, as long as my arm about the ways I do think the guy's a genius. And his ability to communicate simple ideas or complex ideas simply to people, all kinds of things. And he's very shrewd politically, but sometimes he misses. And to me, it comes down to, he doesn't seem to organize. I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm used to organizing things on the fly really quickly to get something done. And he does not avail himself of the things he could do. And in particular, I think that, if it weren't for Flynn, I would have left the country on March 5th, 2021. Mike Flynn called me just as I was packing and said, this is over unless you come down to Florida, and we're going to work on getting this movement going, Patrick. This country's, and, so I would have thought Flynn would be at his right elbow, and Flynn could do all this with his, Flynn's a general. Flynn could have done this in 30 days. Yeah. We're 17 months into it, and whistleblowers haven't even had their videos picked up by the DOJ. Yeah. Those kind of videos that we're putting up on Emerald now. So I've received legal instruction. We're not holding back anymore. It's time to get this out, and it's time to let President Trump know this is all sitting out there waiting for you. You got to do something about it.
Yeah. I had to respond to what you said, just because I know when I got calls, and I believe that General Flynn, one of the things that he has an immense amount of humility. So as he operates, and so we can't even scratch the surface. Somebody called me and said, "Hey, General Flynn did this," and I was like, "Yeah, he didn't do that." And they're like, "Yeah, he did." and they sent me something. I was like, holy crap, he did when did he do that, right? And they tell me, oh, he did it back in 2023, and I was like, you've got to be kidding me. So you learn
behind the scenes.
Yeah, we're learning. I'm learning things that I didn't know. I'm also learning about other people that frankly are just bad apples that are out there trying to create a narrative of, oh, we can patch it. We can patch the system.
Oh, isn't that absurd?
Like, get out of
People, isn't it weird how on our side there are people and they want all the focus to be on the paper and all these things we have to fix the paper and the ballots and get control, all these things, but boy, they poo-poo the machines. You try to engage them, they won't even engage.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, I'm sure.
I was going to say it, but I'm not going to say it because I don't want to even mention the name. So I'm not going to say it.
Yeah, it's really weird to me how there's some people in our movement and
are they in our movement? Are they? Or are they just people that are just sleeper cell, self-gratifying individuals that frankly didn't give anything? Well,
they keep, the things that they are saying are true. They act like it's either or. That it's either you're focused on the machines, but no, the problem's in the paper. Well, the paper's part of it too. We got to fix that too. It's not either or. It's yes and. We got to get all these things fixed. This isn't a hard problem to solve.
Paper cannot happen without a machine, without the software behind it that allows for stored procedures and things to happen, that allows for intrusions and other things. The systems that were designed to defraud the people. Paper doesn't, without the systems, the paper doesn't get through the first part of the scrutiny.
Did you know that by law, in some parts of the country, when they do recounts, the recounts have to be on screen? They can't even go and open the boxes of paper. Everything's on screen. Well, what if that digital image that the scanner took is different than what was actually on the piece of paper? Maybe there's a program that alters it. So,
and then you have the fraudulent and fake ballots. Yeah, Patrick, I'm gonna let you go because I know that you're doing a lot of these interviews. I want you to keep your voice. I want to reiterate again 2 things. One, send me an email if you want to support Patrick. I think it's time that we give back Patrick a bit of what he's actually lost. We've been working on this. I've been talking to donors about this. But if you feel inclined to help Patrick, just send me an email, joe@untamednation.com. I will make sure that I connect you into Peter and some of the other things that we can do in order to protect and to stand at guard for you, Patrick. So thank you.
I appreciate that. Out of $100 million, I've sold my homes, my jet, everything. I'm living basically on the kindness of strangers. Anything people want to put up that help me pay the legal bills and everything else, and it would sure be appreciated.
Yeah, well, I appreciate everything that you've done, and I am forever grateful for the things that you've done to hand me back a little bit of my humanity as well. So thank you.
Back at you, Joe. Thank you.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Patrick is an amazing guy, and I want to bring Halsey back on because I want to talk.
Can I say something to him? Oh, he
took
off.
Patrick, are you still there, or you drop off? Halsey, he's going to be watching this, so I'll send it to him. But bring Halsey back on.
I just want to say, I want to tell him that a lot of us have been humbled. Like I'm having health problems myself, and I've been trying to raise some money, and it's very hard. It's very humbling to have to ask people for help, and I just wanted him to know he's not alone. I'm in the same boat with him. I just I don't know you so well, so I've never asked if I could address your audience, but
you can.
It's again just going through some issues and been trying to get some help myself. Like it's very humbling. It's very hard being against a system that will bankrupt you if you attack it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's tough. Then you have a family and you go through some health problems, and all of a sudden, like you're not just treading water anymore, you're sinking.
Yeah, I was watching some of your comments on Rumble as you were talking, and I'm thinking to myself, well, I didn't know that. We've talked a lot. But we haven't talked about that. So we probably should also offline talk about that and see how I can be of help to you. I want to put
That'd be great.
I want to put this up about what you heard about Patrick, but I put this post up in direct relation to what talking to President Trump. So I want to get your thoughts on this. But
Sure.
I said, Mr. President, you want to put us up next to it? Mr. President, you inspired the people to fight for our nation. I gave up my life and watched my family sacrifice and suffer as a result of speaking up. I then did what I do, and I dug in and modeled how they would steal the 2021 runoff election of the Georgia Senate race. They did. And what began as a small journey has become a battle where we never left the side of good, never left your side in the pursuit of truth. So many people sacrificed. That real Tina Peters went to prison. Patrick Byrne sacrificed his fortune. And in his final days, he is still fighting. Don't tell me you would turn your back on those who showed the ultimate loyalty to our nation and to our people. This is not that hard. A JV attorney with a Cracker Jacks degree and a pound of bologna could drop the hammer and hold these people accountable. We stood for you. We stood for our nation. We put it all on the line and never quit, never wavered, and never stopped pursuing the truth. I don't think you were a sellout. I don't think your character would allow it. I wish I never got involved, and I wish I never stood up. But God has different plans. He has different plans for you. Sometimes it's the last yard that is the hardest and yet the most consequential. To Professor David Clements, Patrick Byrne, General Flynn, Mark Cook, Parikh Clay, Laura Logan, the Raccoon, Apollo, Tina, Hibbins, the Skiff, I don't know him, Real Robert, Peter Berninger, Peter Tickton, and so many more. Thank you. Thank you for standing up, speaking up, pursuing relentlessly the truth. Thank you for the sacrifices and the loyalty to the American people and to our nation. We set out to right the ship, restore integrity, and restore the voice of the people. All I will say is, but God. And thank you, Elon Musk. Without you, we stood no chance of getting this far. I'll say it. Halsey, I've been trying to be a buffer all day for Patrick's words yesterday. Came out pretty hard on President Trump. And some people took that like literally as in you're not allowed to say anything bad, you're not allowed to criticize President Trump. I tend to say that harsh words lead to harsh realities, and with a person like President Trump, who is very introspective, I believe he looks inside as to his own character, that can be helpful, especially when you see yourself kind of drifting away from the promises that you made to the American people a couple of years ago.
So I've been on the other side where I've loved President Trump. I vote for him every time. I think he's awesome. But I'm also I don't have any problem criticizing. If you're going to be in public eye, then you get the criticism as well as the praise, right? And my issue that I've had with Trump is that I feel like at the times where bravery and sacrifice and all of that are necessary, he doesn't step up. And it really kind of gets to me. Like January 6th, right? If he believed that the election was being stolen, which he is over, we all know that he believes it because we all know it happened, right? He shouldn't have been, hey, I told everyone to be peaceful. I told everyone to chill out. No, you called everybody there. I'm sorry, but like, if they're really stealing our democracy, if they're really robbing this election from us and putting this demented old man in power, then you owe us. Because you know why? We're the ones that have gotten shit thrown at our houses. We're the ones that have been audited by the IRS. We're the ones that have been fucking put in our houses if we don't wear a mask. We're the ones that have suffered just for supporting you. And you fucking owe us. I'm sorry. You owe us that if it's time to hit the streets, or if it's time to tuck tail, or whatever it is, that you're going to be honest with us. You owe us that. I'm not saying he had to jump into a battle tank and start riding an Abrams up the middle of Pennsylvania Avenue. But it seems like whenever it comes down to like, okay, someone says, well, your supporters felt this and this and this, I had nothing to do with it. Or I didn't say that, I said be peaceful. Or, it's like, I get that. But you know what? Sometimes courage doesn't always come with like a guaranteed good outcome. And I think a lot of yeah, did he pardon all those people 4 years later? Like people got sentenced to 20 years. People lost everything. And understand this. I'm not saying this about people that I like. There's a lot of those people that I absolutely hate, right? And still, like, you throw someone in prison for 20 years. You know what I'm saying? They lose their army pensions. Their families have to watch them leave and think they're never coming back over probably the gayest riot that ever existed on earth. You let people get up and call it an insurrection, and you weren't out there screaming in the streets. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sorry, that's my criticism of him, is that when it comes time to step up for the people that stepped up for you, he always seems to be absent. And that really bothers me, because he does a lot of good, and he's brought a lot of things to the table, and he's brought up issues that I never assumed would get discussed in my lifetime. You know what I'm saying? He's turned the tide on certain things, but also remember, he still hasn't done much. Like, he hasn't really indicted anyone except for Comey, which was so obvious. Like, I don't know how he hasn't been indicted yet. Like, all these things that he said, you'll be in jail, you'll do this, my DOJ is on. Everything is, we're investigating. You know, the DOJ is investigating this one, or they're open a file on this one. Where are the results?
Well,
you know,
there aren't results. I mean, you had Pam Bondi, you have Kardashian Patel, you have Dan Pongino, right? The guy that literally is, you know, stands with a radical leftist Democrat that paraded around as a populist, Julie Kelly. Her husband now running for mayor of Chicago as a raging Democrat. You have the criticism that comes and gets lobbied against people like Kyle Seraphin and Steve Friend and Phil Kennedy and these FBI whistleblowers that sacrifice it all to walk away from it, to also get punished, that become the pariahs of people like Dan Bongino, who have never sacrificed a thing in his life. Like, his idea of sacrifice said, I had to spend time away from my wife because I worked as a deputy under Kash Patel, but he can't tell the truth, right? So you have this, we've seen the betrayal over and over and over again of people that get into those positions, talk tough like Kash Kardashian Patel, talk tough like Pam Bondi, don't get anything done. They're paper tigers. And you know, I talk about the establishment around him because President Trump takes people's advice, and he, you know, until he doesn't. And then Pam Bondi's out, and Todd Blanche comes in. He gets, again, I think it's this resistance of him not being confirmed and then being confirmed, just shows you the kabuki theater. And little by little, the public trust is not eroding, it is evaporating. I mean, before our eyes, which is going to lead to war. Just so we're clear, it's going to lead to violence, because the American people.
I don't agree with you on that one, but don't worry. I argue with everyone on that one.
But look, I'm going to tell you from my perspective, I got to go to court in front of a corrupt courtroom, and for a piece of trash that stole our elections, Eric Coomer, who literally has lied about everything in his life, right? And I have been defamed. I have seen my family get attacked. I live with a gun next to my bed. At some point, I want vengeance, Halsey. I want vengeance. I'm just going to tell you right now, I want vengeance. And I don't know what it's going to take. But that's what I'm saying.
Like people like you and EM and like a lot of my other friends that see this ending in bloodshed. The reason that you see it that way is you're not a pussy. And the thing is, in this country, most people are. I'm sorry to say it. Like, they talk a lot, but when it comes down to it, they're not willing to put themselves on the line.
Yeah,
you know, like you see these, like when they were burning down all the cities, there was like one couple that came out with a gun and said, "Don't come into my house," and they arrested them. Nobody gave a crap. Nobody was out there helping them. You know,
I did. I went on the street with.
No, I'm just talking in general. Like, where was the sit-in? Where was the riot for us? You know, we're always expected to take one on the chin. And when all these people come in and do nothing, as I said, I get that politics sucks, and I'm an analyst, so like I get dorky about this stuff sometimes. But we've talked about this. I always say there's always more nuance to a lot of things, and one of them is this is the problem with populism, is that just because something sounds good doesn't mean it is good. Right. Like, again, you will not find a more right, but you will not find a person more against immigration than me. I want to deport people that have already taken their citizenship tests. I think we should close the borders to legal immigration and illegal for the next 20 years. But at the same time, right, to just say if we kick out all the illegals, everything's going to be fantastic. We're not getting, again, we're not using our voice to explain to people that if we don't have Mexicans to pick our strawberries, those strawberries might not get picked. So you know what? You might not get any strawberries. Or if we bring back manufacturing, we don't have the bodies to fill it. So I mean, Mike Rowe was he was screaming about this the other day that analysts have been done. There's 7 million jobs that are necessary that don't need a high school, a college degree, in manufacturing, in warehouses all over the country that are unfilled because no one's applying for them. And it's not because people don't know it's there. We've had a 100,000 number deficit of truckers for 20 years now. Nobody wants the job. To just sit around and go, well, if we bring back manufacturing, it'll be awesome because it'll stick it to the Chinese. It's like, no, it won't, because they'll open these buildings and they'll sit empty. Americans are not yearning for the day when they can go back to working in a pencil factory. They're just not.
Well,
so we can be honest about it. We can say, look, we want to kick out the illegals because they're destroying our culture and our country. They're making it so that we cannot thrive as a people. But there will be a lot of sacrifice that's required to do it. And there's nothing wrong with telling people that so they can make an informed decision. And they can say, I still want to maintain my culture, even if it means my strawberries don't get picked, even if it means that all of a sudden it's a little bit harder to get a landscaping job done. I don't care. I want those things. I will pay more for my iPhone, but don't make it sound like my iPhone's going to cost $50 more if it's going to cost $500. Okay, let me make the decision. I'm a grown-up. I can handle the truth. Tell me the truth. Don't just go out there and go with platitudes and slogans that make everybody think it's going to be okay, because it never, ever, ever works.
So you brought up some interesting facts that, I think social media plays a large part in this, right? Because everyone on social media is told that they're special. Well, they could go start a podcast. Let's go get another 30 people to start a podcast. And I see it in the tech world right now. Everyone's an AI specialist. They can just build an agent, and all of a sudden they can just set up a shop and boop, 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 boop. Don't care anything about infrastructure or anything else. Just make promises you can't keep and come out the other side and ruin it like everyone else has ruined industries for decades. Now, with that said, we have to look at this from the lens of, you can bring back all this stuff. We can talk about immigration. We talk about all these things, but they become a larger distraction to the fact that people are not behind the wheel of the car that's actually driving, that can drive the effective environment for their communities, right? They're being told, they're being dog whistled into and or beaten into embrace the new suck. By the way, we're putting up flock cameras and we're going to chase you down. And oh, here you go. We're going to send you now through the mail a bill for a car because it broke the plane and went into the HOV lane. That's $200. Now I don't have a picture of the person driving the car. Now the person that owns the car, it becomes responsible for it, and they go after that individual for that bill. There is a massive break between the people that rule over the communities and the communities themselves. Massive.
So what you just said is also another type of distraction, right? The flock cameras, which, don't get me wrong, I don't like them either. But you know what? We carry our worst surveillance tool with us in our pockets everywhere we go. Yeah. Our cell phone contains every bit of data that ever existed about us ever, and we carry it around willingly. Yeah. Anyone can tell where we are, when, however they want, and without it, you can't function in society. We do that willingly. Like the government doesn't need to surveil us. Like.
So wait, hold on a second. So I everyone says you can't get rid of stuff. I mean, I was having this thing because I sold off all my Coke stock. I had Coke stock, so it was doing pretty well, right? So I bought some Coke stock, and Coke went out and said that they were basically peeing on everybody that is conservative. So I was like, okay, I'm out. I'm selling it out. So I put this post up, and someone said, well, this is all the stuff that you have to cut out for Coke. And they got in this discussion about it, and I was like, okay, no problem. I cut all that stuff out. And they're like, oh, it's like stopping Amazon. Amazon has been in my house in 6 years, right? Amazon can't come to my house. I don't do business with Amazon, right? You can't hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, you okay? Halsey. Did I lose Halsey?
Give me 1 second, please.
Okay, gotcha. So I guess, I get rid of Amazon 6 years ago. They show up at my house. Everybody says it. Like, I don't go to, they did the whole Black Lives Matter for Starbucks. I got rid of Starbucks. I won't drink free water from Starbucks. Amazon showed up with handles for a door. We did some work on the house. And I go, excuse me, what are you doing here? And he goes, I'm here to drop some off. I said, no, this house you're not. And I sent him off. I said, get out of here. I'm not buying anything from you. My wife comes home and she goes, what are you doing? I needed those handles. You can't find the handles anywhere else. I said, well, I guess we have a handleless house. That's in essence where we are right now. We're not doing it. We're not doing anything to do with that. All right. So let's, is Halsey back or no? Okay. So he's got some stuff that he's probably working through right now. So we'll come back to him in a minute when he comes back on. Let's talk about all the things that we know are true. We know that the elections are stolen. We know they're fraudulent. We know that there are people that like John Solomon that get out there and they just lie. Or what's the other guy? The treasure hunter. What's that guy's name? Jovan Pulitzer. Yeah, that guy who says it's the paper, it's the paper, it's the paper. Now he started out saying it's the machines and and that he hacks the machines. And he testified it was a lie then too. The guy does nothing but lie. But he started talking about this stuff, and we know for a fact that what he's saying is BS because he sends out his little bot accounts to create and make himself look bigger than he really is. And he gets some of the dumbest human beings known to man to go out and believe what he says. But none of the things he said is backed by anything other than more of his GriftCon bullshit, right? With that said, they go out there and they say China, 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 and here are the 5 people. John Solomon's big thing. Here's the 5 countries that. Oh, but let me just tell you that the FBI, this guy that was 30 years in the FBI, he's just the real guy. Comey was in the FBI for 30 years. You're going to try and tell me that you're going to create credibility for the FBI? No, John Solomon's a sellout. He's a terrible human being. He can piss up a rope. Every time we turn around as the American people and we find out things about what's happening, they tell us nothing to see here. So I'm going to bring Halsey back on, and I'm going to ask him about this. We're going to go to a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Fauci. Man, we're going to talk about Fauci. Halsey, what do you think about talking about Fauci?
You want to get me started?
I'm going to get you started. I'm going to get you all worked up. We'll take a commercial break. We'll be right back in 2 minutes.
Oh, hi. I almost didn't see you there. Welcome to DCF Buns, where you can find the freshest buns in town, if I do say so myself. Our master bakers teach class every week. So whether you're new to baking or trying to improve your culinary skills, we got you covered. And we can help you bake the cake of your dreams. We'll even clean your cake if you want. And if you don't want to bake anything yourself, we have loads of fresh buns available in a variety of shapes and sizes. Check us out at dcfbuns.com to learn more. DCF Buns, we keep the buns hot and the deals hotter. Buns.
In every thread, in every stitch, Honor-Bound USA weaves the fabric of the American spirit. It's not just apparel, it's a testament to God, family, and country. At Honor-Bound USA, we're a family of patriots who put our faith, family, and America first. When you visit our website, you'll find a line of products that embody our commitment to pray, stand, speak, and act. As the official site for the Untamed podcast, all of our products proclaim speaking the truth with courage. We also have the powerful documentary from Professor David Clements, Let My People Go. Identify yourself as one of the few who are willing to stand for what they believe in. Join the Honor-Bound USA family today. Wear it as a badge of honor, commitment to the values that shape us, and a pledge to the bright future we will build together. Because when you're honor-bound, you're not just wearing a brand, you're embodying a lifestyle.
However, when you look at the unvaccinated versus the vaccinated, there is absolutely no increased risk of that. So because of that, the CDC and the ACOG, the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology, who used to say it is okay for them for pregnant women to get vaccinated to change now and say it is recommended that pregnant women get vaccinated. So it's really one of those things that's kind of not a close call. It really is pretty clear that pregnant women should get vaccinated.
You just heard the murderer himself.
So you don't have to get me started on him. I've been talking about Fauci since 96 when I first heard about him. Yeah, he is not just recently been a bad guy. This has been what he's done since he took over at NIAID, right? First, he did this thing with AIDS, right? Where he decided that the only funding that can happen for AIDS was if you accepted the AIDS HIV hypothesis, which there were many, many voices. In fact, every major voice in the industry said that that's not the case. It's not how it works. And he just shut them up. And if you think about it, Fauci with AIDS did the same thing he did with COVID. Instead of wanting you to put the mask on your face, he wanted to put you to put it on your dick. Right? Like it was, his whole goal has always been to keep people separate and not interacting in any kind of physical. Remember, he had that whole crisis about Zika, where the babies were being born with the little heads, and he was telling women not to get pregnant because you might get the Zika virus from a mosquito, and that turned out to be fake. And COVID turned out to be fake, and AIDS turned out to be fake, and all this stuff turned out to be fake. And he has been at the center of it from day one, always. And the fact that this has gone on for so long and nobody seemed to care, like it's mind-boggling.
You know, here's my problem with what, I mean, everything you said is true. But then I have to look at motives. I have to look at, was this just a person who was uninformed? Is he not smart? Is he, you know, what are the reasoning behind it? What's the motive, right? And when I go through the motive, I have to ask the question of whether or not it was malicious in nature. You know, what prior knowledge did you have? Because look, there's been times that we've done stuff in order to, you know, to cure a disease or things like that. They're like, hey, let's just throw shit at the wall. Like, we don't have a choice. We got to figure something out. Wreck-It Ralph, right? And it doesn't work out. But here is a post that Senator Ron Johnson put out that Fauci was concerned in January of 2021 that the second dose. So it says, Dr. Fauci was concerned in January 2021 that the second dose of the COVID shot theoretically could be associated with miscarriage in the first trimester. Rand Paul and I released this text between Anthony Fauci, Rochelle Walensky, and Vivek Murthy. Well, I've been conducting oversight for years. Now that I've had to document a Fauci's government-issued phone, my investigation has only just begun. Now, if you look at this, it says that Fauci himself, I asked around a bit more, and the other issue came up that you need to be aware of, since many people have significant cytokines storm. I can't read it because it's not. And fever after the second dose, this theoretically could be associated with miscarriage, I think, in the first trimester. Yeah, sorry. So this was a text message that he sent. Now, what you just saw before was him pushing the pregnant woman should get vaccinated, but he knew at the time that that it was actually going to cause miscarriage. As a matter of fact, 82% of the time it resulted in miscarriage. So this guy genocided tens of thousands of babies. Tens of thousands of babies. And here, by the way, is a Fox report on Fauci's text messages about miscarriage. Play it.
So hedge fund billionaire Bill Ackman devastated, reacting, quote, Neary and I had 7 miscarriages trying to have a second child during COVID, and then time ran out. What was he thinking? Oh, my God.
GOP Senator Roger Marshall is a retired obstetrician who sits on the Senate Health and Education Committee, and he joins us now. You know, Senator, I can't think of a bigger story that has ever come out of Washington. But I think there are a lot of people who have a frustration that it's going to be very hard to find Fauci or anybody else accountable for this. Will anyone be held accountable for this?
Well, I sure hope so, and that's why we're calling for a special counsel. And my wife told me I need to remind people what the special counsel can do. Well, they have subpoena power. They can have an independent investigation, and then they can prosecute as well. All Congress can do is expose the truth or try to expose the truth, which is hard to do when a guy takes the fifth 111 times. A full 9/11 style commission would also be something that could work as well, but really it's going to be up to the Attorney General, I think. Does he want an independent counsel to go forward with this?
Again, it doesn't shock me. None of this at all shocks me.
This murderer
What
deserves
shocks
to
me
be
is that
dragged
there's
behind a
is
car until his body parts fall off.
But I'm saying what shocks me, though, is that there's so many people that are in our government that seem to be completely shocked that any of this has been going on. Where's the oversight? Where are the people looking into this stuff? Where are the people hearing from anyone who isn't big pharma? Where are the people out there talking about this stuff? You know what I'm saying? And nobody's doing it. And when they do, the establishment themselves just attack them and say, no, 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 no. Like when they established the AIDS fund out of NIAID for granting, it had more funding than any other institute in the NIH, including cancer, right? And they just spent billions upon billions upon billions of dollars researching cures that didn't exist. They had no value. You know what I'm saying? And because of Fauci, this is what he does. Why do you think Biden had to give him a blanket pardon for anything he had done and anything he could do? You know?
Yeah, the big thing for us is that pardons don't cover treason.
That's
They
true.
don't cover treason. So you could charge him with treason because he knowingly committed a crime to kill off Americans. Genocide does not have a pardon wouldn't cover genocide. I mean, he should. If I lost a baby, let me just tell you how I'm built. I had to come out and say, and I think I told you this before, and I'm not a violent person. Halsey, I'm not a violent person.
Mm-hmm.
I
believe it.
have a high ability to be violent. In other words, I have a high if violence needs to be committed in order to save somebody else, right? I have that talent, right? I just don't choose it because I choose to live a good life and to be a good person and to sit on that side. But I don't like evil, and I'm not afraid to do against evil what needs to be done against evil in order to stop it from hurting other people. But let's just hypothetically say that your son or your daughter died, and it was directly tied back to what Anthony Fauci did during that time. I mean, there's only a certain number of us of people that could operate with restraint and not want to do something. And I just can't imagine the number of people that he's adversely affected.
I agree with you. I just don't think people will do anything.
I just think that we could bomb Iran, but we can't take out people in our own country that are just diabolically terrible and have hurt us. You know, and
because foreign policy is always the distraction. That's always the distraction from what's going on here.
So then what the hell? Why don't we take care of these people? And look, I don't want to become the very thing that I'm fighting against. I don't want to become diabolical and kill people. And I don't want that. But what they're doing is wrong. What they're doing is wrong, and they continue to get away with it. They get away with it.
I agree. Can you give me 10 seconds? I'm sorry. It's kind of like a little bit of I need 2 minutes.
Yeah. So while he steps out for a minute, I want to put this up. This it goes along with killing babies because, you know, that's always the thing I saw. And for those of you that don't understand that, I'm just built different. I'm built different. I know I'm built different. And I see the Coomer on there with his lawyers that are watching the show today because they knew what we were going to talk about. And people were like, Joe, you just, and I got the phone call from a beautiful woman in Washington, D.C. that I've known for over 2 decades and I've done some work with. And she's like, you know, the thing about you, Joe, is that you just pursue truth at all costs. And I remember.
And remember, but I love what you just said, that you pursue truth at all cost. The problem that I think we have, that a lot of Americans have, not you personally, but I'm saying a lot of people have, we're pursuing truth absent action, right? Like we're pursuing truth just so we know what's up, but we're not doing anything with that truth.
Yeah, except,
right? Like
for,
why are we not why? Like there shouldn't be a problem. Like Fauci is considered innocent until proven guilty. So why can't he go on trial? If we believe if the government believes he committed a crime, why can't he go on trial and defend himself? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but this gets me to the other part, which is we have such diabolical people in our government, such diabolically evil people. And this is why I talked about the synagogue of Satan. That's why I called them the synagogue of Satan, is because they were standing behind and saying, they were doing what I think is absolutely is the most diabolical thing, and that is hiding behind and saying, I'm Jewish, you can't criticize me, while doing evil things. And that's what the Bible says, right? The Bible literally talks directly about that. And so I saw them as using good people, using a group of people who are good people as a shield against their own impropriety. And I find that disgusting. I find that disgusting.
But everyone does it. I'm not excusing it. I'm just saying everyone does it.
Yeah, I don't do it.
You know what I'm saying? Like we could probably disagree on Joe Kent, but from the minute he started with his whole shtick, it was, I'm a veteran. You cannot criticize me because I'm a veteran. Why? Veterans can have shitty opinions. You know what I'm saying? Like you being a veteran doesn't mean you get to just talk. Yes, I agree.
They can also be traitors. A lot of things can be true, but a badge of honor is not a badge of honor if it's not honorable, right?
Exactly. So it's the same thing. Like just John McCain. I mean, if anything, I would like to give the Medal of Honor to that brain tumor of his. But I'm just saying, like, you know, like. Just because
I love what you just said. we just walked past it for a minute. I was like, "This is gonna come up."
But I'm saying, like, John McCain was inherently a terrible person. It's not like he had all these redeeming values. He just had some shitty opinions on things, right? Like he legitimately stopped the Republican Party from implementing the policies that he and the rest of them ran on. And he did it on purpose. You know, like he literally stopped the Republicans from doing what Republicans said they were going to do. And then he had the nerve to bitch that people didn't like him or trust him or anything like that. You know, it's the same with a lot of establishment figures. And again, it's an inherent problem of truth without action. Yeah. Like Rand Paul can get up there all day long and talk about how evil Fauci is, but if nothing ever happens to Fauci, who cares? What's the point of knowing what an evil prick he was if nothing happens to him? I mean, it's like in the 2008 financial crisis. Do you know how many people went to jail over the 2008 financial crisis? One. There was one guy. It was in the movie The Big Short. It's some guy who fudged his records on how many bonds he actually bought. It was like he was a nobody.
And Bernie Madoff.
Bernie Madoff wasn't involved in the 2008 financial crisis. He had his own Ponzi scheme. I'm saying like he had his own separate thing.
Yeah.
But I'm saying in terms of the housing meltdown. Yeah. Well, so even two. I'll give it to you. Let's just say two. Of all of the bankers that ripped off all those people, the ratings agencies that gave all those shitty ratings to these bonds that they knew were trash, right? People lost their houses, people lost their pensions, people lost their jobs. Like we melted down the global economy to the point where we had 0% interest rates for 10 years. And then we watched our own inflation eat us alive. You know, like we just like, and nobody was held responsible. We talk about how shitty it was what everybody did, but have we ever talked about why? Like why any of the, look at just what we've done to our children, right? On college loans. College use, and we do, just so you know, this even existed when we were kids, right? When we were kids, what did they always not teach in school? How to balance a checkbook, how to prepare for savings, how to prepare for retirement. They never taught that shit in school. They just say, oh, they'll figure that out as they go. And then the day you get to school after high school, you go to your orientation, and the first thing you see is 100 tables of credit cards asking you to sign up and get a credit card. Right. But we took an idea of college and we looked at it in the stupidest way possible. Colleges used to be for two types of people, rich people and smart people, right? And guess what? Rich people and smart people tend to do better in life than dumb people and poor people, right? It's just the law of nature. But somehow we were able to convince people, no, if you go to college, you're going to do better in life, regardless of what you study, how you study it, how well you do there, what your aptitude is, or whether you even have any business being there. So if you go take $80,000 in loans to get a 4-year degree in underwater lesbian basket theory, you know what I'm saying? Then you will be able to make $1 million a year coming out and pay off this debt. Now, listen, I don't absolve the people who took this debt of their own responsibility. If you look at a loan document and see what your amortization table is, you know what you're having to pay. You know, like you should be able to say, I'm not going into this level of debt. I don't care how it's going to get me ahead, not unless I have some kind of plan to repay it. Right. But at the same time, we keep doing this. We fuck over everybody in terms of real life in order to give them these theoreticals that are obviously bullshit.
Yeah,
the idea that you could have no job, no savings, a credit rating of 514, and you can somehow qualify for a mortgage for an $800,000 house, which is your third house. The idea that that's even possible is so ridiculous that it should be like almost like a floggable offense, like just for it coming out of your mouth and saying that to someone. You know what I'm saying? It's like walking into a handicap school and kicking retards. Like you shouldn't be allowed to do that. Like it's just not okay. But we constantly do this in this country. We pick something and we say this is going to make your life better. So we are going to figure out a way to give you this thing you didn't earn, don't want, don't need, and probably can't handle. And then when you figure out that it's not for you, we're going to kick you in the balls until you piss blood. And that's what we keep doing over and over and over again. And the people that do it are never held responsible ever.
I think
you know what I'm saying?
That's the bigger issue right there. Never held accountable. And I think that you said that people were without action. I've been in action for 5 years. I flew all over the country trying to create density and talked about the Gideon 300 and how do we create an environment where we stand together. And what you're talking about, the lack of courage, is that the density of those that are courageous is having enough humility to be able to stand together, right? Because if you can get 1,000 men to stand together, you're in good shape, right?
Bro, I mean, I heard Patrick, like, that's why I told you, Patrick was his name, right? I don't want to get his name wrong.
Patrick Byrne.
My heart was going out to him because I was doing the same thing. I was investigating people. I was writing about people. I was doing all kinds of exposés. Now, I'm not overvaluing who I was. But you know what? They sent the IRS after me for no reason and crushed me. I still have not recovered. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm a broken refrigerator away from bankruptcy from it. And I work my ass off. I have 5 college degrees and none of them are worthless. I'll tell you that much. And I work my ass off. I make really good money and I'm still a broken refrigerator because of what they did to me. Just because I was out here talking. I didn't go shoot anybody. I didn't.
I overpay on my taxes.
I do too.
For that reason.
They just decided that there were irregularities and started looking into me. They froze my accounts. They took all my money. They decided I owed fines that I didn't owe. And then I had to pay lawyers to go to court to fight for my money back. Then all of a sudden it delay. 4 years later, I still haven't gone to court. It's as I said, it's criminal. But
why have you not taken that to the DOJ?
I have.
Well, I don't understand. The DOJ has a fast track for crimes committed by the IRS specifically. They have a whole thing that got set up.
Yep, and what they were able to do for me was they said that no one will seize my actual, like my house or my cars or anything like that. They won't garnish my pay, but all of my impounded money that they're taking will get released at trial. They gave me relief, just not enough for me to actually get relief. You know what I'm saying? Because again, it puts you on a leash. This is what we do. We don't hold people accountable. We just snip at them a little bit to make it so that people will just accept any crumb they can get. When you're done and you realize, like, wait a minute, I might not be able to feed my family this month if I don't borrow money from somebody. You're willing to accept any kind of like relief that you can get. Like if they're like, listen, we'll just do this, that you're like, thank you for doing something. because my kids won't starve. You know what I'm saying? Like, and they do this to everybody. The January 6th thing is just the most obvious one, right? Like what they did to those people was just like literally guys who did nothing, walked through Congress, got 20 years. You know, like I don't think people in their right mind can fathom how long 20 years is to go away for walking through a Congress building that they're allowed to go in the first place.
You should be allowed to walk in the first place.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, like,
I say this before. I said this before. We're slaves until we decide we don't want to be slaves anymore. Right. And it's I had somebody that tried to talk to me about the 70% that they pay over in some European countries or that in taxes. And I was like, they don't pay 70%. He goes, yeah. I said, look, we pay like 85%, 90% in taxes. And they're like, no, you don't. And I was like, okay, what are they? Let's talk about one of these countries. Do they have socialized medicine? They're like, yeah. So they get free medicine, right? He goes, yeah, free medical care. Yep. Okay. Do we? That's 12 to 15% right there of your pay. Boom. Gone. On the average. I said, okay. Do they pay property
tax? You're leaving out the dirt. You're leaving out the dirty little secret in America, which is a big deal. And that's that the majority, meaning I think it's 53% of Americans, don't pay any taxes at all. They get back more money than they give in every single year they get all their
pay. No, they don't pay any income tax. A vast
no, but I'm saying even their FICA taxes, which they do pay, they pay their FICA taxes. But when they get their deductions,
property tax on the average.
No, of course, yes. When I say no taxes, you're right. Income tax. Let's just money out of your check.
You have consumption taxes. You have property taxes.
Sure, I agree. Taxes. No, I misspoke then. I mean, because I agree with you.
So those people and those people disproportionately pay a higher percentage of taxes because of the fact that one, that money gets held. You don't get your FICA back. The 7.5%, you don't ever get that back. Yeah, everyone pays it. And the employer pays the other 7.5%, right? Just a VIG for being able to hire you. So not only does do you pay taxes on that, but we pay taxes on employees just so they can work here.
Yep. Even better though is that, and I remember I lived overseas. I was in Israel for 11 years, right? Yeah. They have the socialized medicine and all that. And you know what? There are a lot of times where you say to yourself, well, this sucks. I wish it was more like America, because in America, if I'm sick, I go to the doctor and, it's just, that's how it works. And here I have to wait 2 months to get an MRI and all of that. But at the same time, if you're in between jobs or if you're having a bad month or something like that, you don't have the stress of going, I pray to God I don't get sick, right? Yeah. Because you're going to be treated whether you have a job or not. And that's the important part. Now, I'm not a fan of socialized medicine. I don't think it's good. Well, but at the same time, our system, right? But the thing is, there are happy mediums. There are ways that we can do things. Like, again, no one seems to want to. Like, whenever you talk to the Democrats, it's Medicare for all. Whenever you talk to the Republicans, it's if we just deregulate the shit out of them and just let them do whatever they want, then everything's gonna. And we know that's not true either. The truth is, if you'd like, Obamacare mandates everyone have health insurance, right? But why do I, as a male, have to have health insurance that covers me in the event I get pregnant? Correct. Why do I have to have a health insurance policy that covers a tranny surgery? Okay. Why can't I just have catastrophic insurance, right? Where I have insurance that if I wind up in the hospital for more than 48 hours, insurance kicks in. But up to that, I wind up paying out of pocket. You know what I'm saying? Like, why are there not innovative solutions in a country where innovation is supposed to be our strong point? Right? That we are the ones who pioneer these things. And it's funny because, he got so much shit. And don't get me wrong, dumb political move. DeSantis ran against Trump in 2024. Dumb move, right? But he's accomplished half of the things that Republicans have been yapping about for 20 years. He's accomplished in Florida. He got school choice. He's doing away with income taxes, right? Like, property taxes.
Property taxes. Property taxes you should never have property taxes. That makes you a slave.
Right. It's also, you hear people talking about the wealth tax in California, how they're going to tax you on unrealized gains. What do you think a property tax is? They tell you what your house is, regardless of whether you sold it or not, and you owe a tax based on what your house is worth, not what you sell it for. You know what I'm saying? And if your house value goes down, if the market goes down the next year, they don't give you a rebate. You know what I'm saying? They come with the big hand of government and tell you, we're going to give you a really good deal. We're not going to raise it this year because your house is worth less. You know? But we put up with this shit because it's boiling the frog, right? Like we're always able to be pointed into some either completely ridiculous avenue, or we're able to be pointed into a bigger problem that can't be solved anyway, so that we can worry about that, right? Like, and I don't know if I'm going to piss you off with this or not. This whole data center nonsense, right? You could very easily regulate the shit out of it. You could only open a data center here, there, under these circumstances, with this power supply and this water. You could easily do that. Instead, we're talking about how, like, oh my God, this is going to lead to a social surveillance state like China. Guess what? China already has a social surveillance state. They don't need the data centers. Okay? Neither would the American government. They could do just fine with what they have right now. But how many jobs are being lost because we're not willing to just talk about it? We either have to shut them down completely or build them everywhere, including in your kid's bedroom. You know what I'm saying? Where's the conversation? Where's there like...
But I also believe, I mean, look, I'm going to tell you about the whole data center problem is not really a problem. It's a lie. And I think China and other countries are trying to stop us from having more efficient data centers that have better security, that frankly are built in to allow for us to have that charcoal mentality of stopping the pulse. Because the new technology that's out there for data centers is 50% more effective at being more economical. It doesn't use water, right? First of all, they use glycol in order to keep it cool. Just like they cool beer, they cool the. I know because I have a data center with glycol. They use less electricity, right? Because they have different cycles, and the way they use electricity allows for a better power grid adaptation to make sure it doesn't put as much pressure on the power grid. So everything that they say about data centers is to keep us in this is like a New York City mentality, right? You got old shit because you can't replace it with new shit because they make it impossible to put the new shit in because you just want to leave the old shit because there's some benefit to toll booth guys in New York City getting across the bridge. Same thing. They're still there. Why? But you see, that's our problem as Americans that we have right now, right? Is that we're so, and trust me, COVID played a huge part in this, but we're so susceptible to just not trusting anyone and just listening to lunatics that all it takes is China to spend a couple bucks, or Russia or anyone else to put rumors out on social media, the data centers or the whatever. And next thing you know, there's a movement against them that has no clue what they're talking about. Yeah. Right. And we're not able to have a conversation because you're either for big data or against big data, for big pharma or against big pharma. Like, we can't have conversations anymore. We're either for or against something. Right? Like, we can be perfectly comfortable with religious freedom and not want to elect Zohan Rendani. You know what I'm saying? Who's literally a jihadist. We are allowed to do that. That was a shit election too. All blue state elections are shit elections. They've been led that way since the Civil War. Yeah. Okay, like and that's another thing that we do. We love to preach the glory of democracy, right? Regardless of whether what's happening is okay or not, right? Like, it's, oh, well, they won. Got to just sit back and take it as they rob us of our freedoms and do everything that they can to destroy us, right? And that's not the purpose of democracy. The purpose of democracy is that people that have a stake in the outcome of elections are allowed to have their voice heard in an election. Yep. That's why the franchise was always restricted. Right? Like, people go, oh, women shouldn't be allowed to vote. Well, maybe they shouldn't, but you know what? Why don't you just say you have to be a net taxpayer in order to vote, or serve in the military? One or the other. It's simple. Why is it that just because you were birthed by your parents, you have a right to vote my money into your pocket? You know what I'm saying? That doesn't make any sense. No, but we do it. And then we remember when we were bombing democracy into the entire Middle East for 20 years? How well did that work out? We bombed the Taliban out of existence and replaced them with the Taliban. You know what I'm saying? And whatever the hell that we killed Saddam, and now we have God knows what in Iraq anymore. Right?
Like, we love bombing democracy into places, or we tell people like Egypt, you have to have an election. Okay, we'll elect the Muslim Brotherhood. Then we're like, no, you guys got to do something about this. Then the military overthrows the country. We're like, okay, cool. Now we like democracy again. You know what I'm saying? Like,
It's just not real. It's not real.
an uninformed population cannot be expected to weigh in on who leads them and the complexities of leadership if they have no clue what the hell is going on in the first place, especially if all they're being promised is gimme that's, you know?
I totally agree with you. 1,000%. Let's yeah. I'm out of time, bro. I need to have you
Okay,
back
that's
on.
fine. You
But
tell me when, I'm around.
Yeah, I want to get you back on. So I want to talk about, I really want to talk about the geopolitical issues that happen in the Middle East and kind of compare notes.
Sure.
And talk about what's happening in Israel specifically, because
Sure.
I have family members there and they say, Joe, it's a hot mess. Like, nobody trusts the government. It's like a weird thing where, and they won't talk to each other, but they do talk to each other. They yell at each other, and there's all these different cliques. And I mean, it literally, the most, you talk about distrust in America, in Israel, it's like 100 times worse, right?
It's 100 times worse because they distrust it to the point where they stop caring.
Yeah.
Right? Like they just, like, when the government says we're going to do this, like, nobody even listens anymore. Nobody cares. Right? And a big part of that is that for almost 80 years now, the only issue that's mattered is security. So they can't talk about taxes. They can't talk about deregulation. They can't talk about healthcare because all they talk about is security. It's like, you could meet a politician you love, but all of a sudden the guy says, you know, I'm not gonna bomb this person. I'm not gonna do that. And it's, oh no, we can't have that because he's going to put the country at risk. You know,
Yeah.
it's not a hot mess. It's what a baby country does, right? Like, remember, they're an eternal people, but they've only been around for 78 years. It took us a while too. We had a big ass civil war, 100 years after our start too. And most countries do. Most countries go into complete upheaval, like, in their first 100 years. You know what I'm saying? You got to figure shit out. You got to grow up and be a big boy country. And they're learning to be a big boy country, and it's tough on them. But for people that's been around for 3,000 years, I have full faith they'll be just fine. But at the same time, you're right. It is a hot mess. Like,
It is a way hot mess. All right, brother. Well, I tell you what, we'll connect out offline, talk to you about some of the stuff, health issues specifically. I want to hear about that. But how do people follow you? How do people follow you?
You can get me on Twitter, Real Halsey E, at Real Halsey E, or you can find me on YouTube at Halsey English.
All right. I appreciate you, brother, very much. Thank you for all
Thank you very much, man. I really appreciate it.
All right. God bless you.
Bye-bye.
Halsey's one of the greats, man. And we talk about a guy that has more knowledge and more understanding of geopolitical events, but also what's happening. I could bring up stuff. We could have hard conversations. He could disagree with me. I could disagree with him. It's an incredible relationship. And, if you get a chance to follow him, please follow him. He's got some great stuff that he puts out specifically related to what we're dealing with in this country and what other people are dealing in other countries. So with that said, I just want to thank you for coming by today. Listen, I talk about elections a lot. I talk about what's happening in the country. I try to put it all together so you understand that, that nobody's your friend when it comes to the government stuff. They're just not your friend. Government's not doing you any favors. And yet we're not anti-American. We're just, they lack accountability. And so we have to find a way to give them back that accountability or force accountability on them. And I think that has to happen first by making sure that your voice is preserved. And that takes free and fair elections, which we don't have. They're just liars. And so we're going to continue to talk about that. We're going to continue to speak truth, and they can like it or not, but we're going to continue to do it. So Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and more, to whatever that person's name was that was on the show. I'll just call him Coomer. You think I care? I don't care, right? I don't care what you say. I could care less. I'm coming for you. Like I'm seriously at that place right now where I've already. There's no reason for me to get upset anymore. Like I don't need to get upset anymore. I've already come to the conclusion. I've already come to the conclusion that we are dealing with a massive cartel judiciary in the state of Colorado that is captured in a way that is is not even recognizable in America. And I know that they can think that they can get away with that stuff, but they can't. And frankly, sooner or later, it will get to the place where we have accountability one way or another. One way or another. Count on it. Yeah. And yet, with all that, we have to take everything to God, right? So, Father God, thank you for this has been a fight for 6 years. I feel like I'm prepared and I've done all the things that are necessary to keep myself focused on the prize, which is restoration. And yet I see it, Father, and I know what the outcome, I know what's coming. I just, not to say I really like what's coming, but you can see that there's just this evil that needs to be pushed back into its hole. And Father, we lack understanding on, when it is we're supposed to and how we kind of put ourselves together. So Father, I just ask you to give us the ability to have wisdom, have strength, have the courage to continue to stand forward, and that we can be unselfish and serve each other. Help us, Father, that we can still have enjoy and enjoyment with our family and friends, and be grateful for those blessings that we have in our lives, even as we prepare for sacrifices that, frankly, not many of us want to have to make, but know that they are necessary in order to preserve generationally things for our children, our grandchildren, and for generations to come. So, Father, we are grateful, and we thank you for just giving us the courage to be able to stand up and to serve our communities. I say these things, Father, humbly. Oh, Father, I want to just ask that you just really wrap your arms around President Trump and give him the ability to make decisions with courage and with strength, and to do the things that you've pushed on him and urged him to do. Father, I just ask you to give him that protection. And I say these things in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, guys. Remember, it's if you want to go have an abortion up until birth, there's now 10 countries or 10 states that you can. And we should be fighting against that. We keep saying things like we will do anything. We'd die for our kids. I would challenge all of you to say that you're not even willing to go to jail for your kids. It's pretty crazy. So we still pray out the show. Yes, we do, Jeff. Dave Bear, Patrick Byrne, Gator, Halsey, Gammy. Yeah, prayers up for everyone. Susan Rice, good to see you. Really, really good to see you. Susan Posky, good to see you. And who else we got in there? Yeah, all sorts of people. Gammy, I see you, Gammy. We are going to have to fight, guys. It's going to get hot, so just prepare for it. And just so you know that nobody makes it out of this life alive. But life is a test, and frankly, Bible's very clear on what you're should be willing to give up in order to stop team evil. So God bless you. Talk soon.
Rise up untamed in the heart of the fire where the wild ones roam. Joe Oltmann's calling, bringing truth back home. From conservative daily to this untamed fire, we shatter the silence, lifting spirits higher. No chains can hold us, no lies can prevail. Authentic and fearless on this rugged trail. Patriots gather under stars and stripes. Untamed nation, igniting the night. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong. Yeah, untamed and wild, forever strong. Play it again all night long. time to heal. Joe's voice leads the untamed crew. Truth matters through and through. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown, tame nation. It's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave